I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Hunter, and this is
the Family Showdown! Hey, welcome and greetings, salutations. Are you all ready for another zany top 10? That was chosen by them, right?
It was.
You chose this. So you did this. So whatever happens, it's your fault.
That is true.
Welcome, peeps. Good to see y'all. You picked the best intro music, by the way. You always pick like the best random intro music.
Do I?
Yes. Don't you agree?
Okay.
I was saying.
All right, folks. Tonight we are doing top 10 games with the interesting win conditions. So when I told Rebecca what our top 10 was, she had no idea what it was going to be. And I told her, and she's like, we have no games that have interesting win conditions.
Well, I could think it was like, my instant thought was Euros, and I'm like, yay, the most victory points, woo. And then, you started mentioning stuff, and it's like, oh, we have a lot of games.
We do have a lot of games.
A lot of games with interesting things.
But I would say half or more of our games get the most points.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But I did make a list, though. She was like, we don't have any games, so I made a list of like 40 games. And then like 4 or 5 categories of games that could be in, so that we have a lot. We have probably a couple hundred easy.
That's scary to think about, actually. We keep popping up with more afterwards. We're like, hey, what about this game? I don't know. What do you guys, did you make your list?
All right.
I'm curious to see what you guys had.
As always, we got to bim bum bam it.
Oh, this is on.
See who goes first.
That's right.
So I can mess myself up.
Yes,
on the order.
Exactly.
All right.
Ooh, I'm excited.
All right, cut it.
Okay.
Pick one.
It's my fault then, huh?
Yep. Who is more good looking?
Oh. Should we let the audience decide? I think it's you.
It's Rebecca.
What? Oh, let's not
move
play.
on. All right, Rebecca, you can go first or second? First or last?
Do I want to?
However you want to look at it.
Do I want to mess with you or leave it to tradition so you're okay tonight?
Do whatever you want to do.
You go first.
I'm going first.
You go first. It'll be easier for you.
All right, I'm going first. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Number 10.
All right.
It's you.
My number 10. Let's see what it is. I actually have the list in front of me this time, but I'm not going to look at it. My number 10 is Escape Plan. So Escape Plan is actually getting the most points, actually the most cash. So basically in Escape Plan, you are a gangster, mob leader,
criminal
in general, nefarious type.
Yes.
And you're going around the city hitting all your all the stores you control and all the things like that, collecting as much money as you can, going to your little lockers, picking up money, gathering all the money you can, avoiding the cops as you go, and trying to get out of the city before the cops close in on you and close all the exits. So you have to have an escape plan. So it is most points, but if you don't get out before all the exits close, you get no points. You're eliminated from the game. So so for me, at least, the goal is to get out. Because I never seem to get out. I always I want to go to one more place. I want to do one more thing. And so that's kind of my victory condition, is getting out of the city. Because if I get out of the city, I call it a win. Because I have just this one more thing mentality. It's like, oh, the exit's over there. I can do this one thing on the way. Do this one thing, and then.
But you have such tight turns on what you can do. Yeah, and you have a real difficult time with press your luck, and you just always want to keep going.
I want to keep doing more things.
Yes. And the dog has found a squeaky duck. Hold on.
But anyway, that's Escape Plan. So really, it is the win condition.
None for you.
Is basically mitigated by this getting out of the city. So there you go.
Yes.
My number 10.
She looks sad.
Escape Plan.
All right. My number 10, go ahead and pop it up, is Captain Sonar. So this is another one of those where you think, okay, most points or something. No. If you've played this game.
It is kind of most points.
Kind of. But the thing is, there's a couple different ways. You can blow yourself up and make yourself just completely, useless. Because you can lock yourself out, because there's 4 people playing, and you each have your own jobs. And one of those jobs is you're going through, and when things happen, you use up part of your system, and you're kind of blocking off different things that you can do until you get to reset. So there's kind of like your own stumbling block, or the other team finds you and shoots you and you sunk my battleship, and then you go down. So a couple different ways to win, very different ways. Crazy tense game.
I don't know if it's a way to win. You basically cause yourself to lose, maybe, by messing yourself up.
There's that. You're making it very difficult for yourself to win. Let's put it that way.
But yeah, it's basically an advanced game of Battleship.
It is. It's so much fun. That is a great 8-player game. Like, you have to have that exact number to make it just absolutely perfect, but goodness, it's fun. So much fun. Crazy intense.
We haven't played this one since the Dark Ages.
The Dark Ages. Yeah, it's a really good game. And so is Sonar, which is like the
4-player or 2-player version.
Yeah, the 4 or 2-player version of Captain Sonar, basically. Super fun.
All right, let's move on.
Number 9.
My number 9. Let's see what it is.
What is your number 9?
I don't know. Let's find out. It is Power Grid. So in Power Grid, you're trying to build the most power stations as possible.
Yes.
But that's not how you win the game. When the end of the game is triggered by a certain person building enough power grids, or it's based on the number of players, it's not who builds the most power grids, it's who powers the most at the end. So if I build 12 and Rebecca builds 10, but she powers 9 and I power 8, she actually wins the game.
Yeah.
So not only do you have to build enough power stations, I keep calling them power grids, power stations to win, you have to budget your money and your resources to be able to power the most at the end. So usually the one that builds the most can win if he can power them all.
Yeah.
But if they don't manage their resources right that last round of the game, then they don't power the most. They actually do not win the game. So there's that. I don't know have we ever had anyone not win by having the most? I can't recall if someone
like having the most cities.
No, the one that built the most didn't power the most. Have we ever had that?
Yeah,
happen?
we have had that happen.
I can't recall. I'm sure we
have had that happen. It was really
game.
close, but it was one of those games because it was so close and somebody had just enough money. I think it was you actually had enough money to power everything, and I was like one shy or something.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had it happen, and so I mean it does make a difference. So
there you go. That's my number 9, Power Grid.
That's a good one. That's a good
not
one.
the one who builds the most, it's who powers the most.
That's so true. My number 9 is a heavy game, and it's got a surprise thing in it, and that's Yedo. So this is another one of those where you accomplish the most missions and you're kind of getting the most points. Yes, but
yeah, it's a victory points game.
Yeah, it's a victory point games for the most part. However, if you are lucky enough to get a specific mission that is to assassinate the Shogun, right? It's the Shogun?
Kill the Shogun.
Kill the Shogun. And you happen to have the impossible number of actions and materials to carry out this insane mission. It's an insta-win.
Right.
The conditions are so difficult, though. I mean, they do not make it easy, but you definitely earn your victory if you can pull that off. It can happen. So it's kind of cool. I mean, you chug away and just get the most missions and get those victory points and everything else, or just pull off the ultimate assassination. You are the super ninja at the end.
So I actually did a little research into this one.
Okay.
And for hardcore Yedo players, people that play Yedo a lot,
okay,
they actually pre-plan their stuff to complete that mission.
That is so smart, though.
So what they did in the new deluxified version is there's like 5 Kill the Shogun missions, or a certain number of Kill the Shogun missions.
Oh, so you like
and
random...
you shuffle up and pull one and put one in the game.
So that you,
so that you can't
awesome.
Prepare, because apparently one strategy a lot of
Uber gamer, right?
Like dudes is he's like from the very start. He just starts saving up for everything he needs to get that mission in the hopes that he gets the mission.
That's smart.
And then they get the mission and they have the stuff and they win the game. So in the new game they gave multiple copies with different resources and different things you have to get the Kill the Shogun. So you can't pre-plan, so that when you draw the card comes up, you have to start.
You have to react like everybody else
to get the stuff that you need. So, but we're not cool enough to memorize stuff like that. So
I'm lucky to remember what I have for lunch. Right
now.
we
need all these things. And,
yeah.
And so anyway.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yep.
That's a good one. That's a good one. There's I actually in prep for this, I watched I think it was Jamie Stegmaier had a games with insta win conditions.
Oh, okay.
And
was this on there?
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
All right.
As it should be.
Let's move on.
Very interesting.
Number 8.
All right. My number 8. Let's find out what it is. I don't know. Let's find out. It's Yeedo!
What can I say? You have a good taste.
So there you go. We just talked about it. The Insta Wind and Yeedo. The infamous Tommy tried to pull it off. And so
he already commented on it in the chat.
Yeah, he got an event messed him up, and he couldn't
you gotta
pull it
have
off.
well, that's the thing. If you get blocked by just out of one action, you can't pull it off.
Right,
I mean, it's just so many conditions have to lay out just right for you to be able to pull that off. It's
I think we've
crazy
decided going forward. I bet you if we open the Yeedo box, we make notes now on how we want to play the games. I think we've decided not to play with the samurai cards, which are the punitation cards.
Oh my gosh, those mean events.
Yeah, so
yeah,
I think
we've
made a note not to play with the mean events.
Because that's basically what hosed it up.
Because you could be playing for one of those big point missions, and one of those events mess you up, just like Tommy said.
Yeah, because it's like take away 2 of your weapons or something. I mean, it's like a really painful event.
And then it's going to take you a couple rounds just to get the stuff you need to get, and by then the game could be over, right?
Yeah,
so
you can't recover.
I think we've decided. I'm tempted to play.
I decided. I'm good
not
now.
to play with the samurai
I'll write it down.
cards, the bad events.
Yep.
Make it a friendly. The events are always good.
Yeah.
Basically, for the most part.
Right.
All right, let's just move on because we already talked about Yeedo. So.
Oh, that's me.
That's you.
All right, my number 8 is a much lighter game than Yeedo, and that is Raptor.
Oh, okay.
Because it's got that asymmetrical winning condition here. I mean, you've got the Raptors, and your goal is just to get your babies to safety and everything, right? And then you've got the scientists, and you're supposed to capture and collect a certain number of the Raptors. And you have different ways to go about doing that. And clearly, the Raptors can't turn around and collect scientists or anything like that. You have to win by your win condition. So it's...
I think you have to get them off the board.
Yeah, you have to get them off the board. It's very, but there's different ways of going about it. And again, so because they're so different, it's not just who gets the most points. No, you have to go about doing a completely different action that's in line with your character. And I thought that was really cool. And that is something that is not the standard, okay, everybody's doing their own thing, you know.
Right.
And
very
you're
very interactive.
Very interactive with this one.
Yeah, that's I was going to say that any asymmetrical
game would fit well.
Fit well with this. That I win this way and you win that way.
Yeah.
So that would work for any of those work. That's lots of things. Racing games could work for this. Abstract games could work for this.
Hey, we still got the list to go. We're just spoiling it all.
Oh, I guess we're moving on then.
Number 7.
It'd be cool if that was the Kill the Shogun card.
That would have been very cool.
Instead of not the whatever card that was.
Yes.
All right, my number 7. Let's see what it is.
What is it?
It is Seven Wonders Duel.
Ooh, that was on
Number
my short
7,
list. Yep.
Seven Wonders
Oh,
Duel.
I see what you did there.
Clever. So this one is probably the first one that most people mention when they talk about interesting win conditions.
Makes sense.
Because it's one of the most popular games, period, right now. Anyway, it's Seven Wonders Duel. The main way to win is to get the most points, but there's 2 other alternate win conditions. One is a military win, and another one is a science win. And the military win, you're just building up your military, build it up, and if you get it so powerful, there's like a little tug of war track, and if you ever reach the end of the track, you win the game. Science, if you get a certain number of science tokens, you win the game. So at some point, if you notice your opponent's going for one or the other, or maybe both, probably not both, you have to kind of switch gears and to start defending against that, because you can't just go, okay, I'm just going to get the most points and I'm going to win. You have to start by getting the military to counter their military. You have to get
oh my gosh.
You have to get the science cards, or
you have to
draft the science cards and just throw them away for money or whatever you need to do to prevent them from getting the science cards they need. So this one's really, really interesting because it can completely change how the game plays if someone picks going for one of those win conditions.
Yep, absolutely.
So there you go.
It's true. That one, you really have to pay attention to your opponent in that one so much. All right, my number 7 is one that we haven't played in a while, and I enjoy this game more than you, I think, and that is Vast. This is another one of those asymmetrical games where depending on what character you're playing, you have a completely different goal.
Correct.
And you have to accomplish your specific goal to be able to win that. This is one that if you have not heard of it, you play some very different things. You have like a knight or warrior, you have a dragon, and you have the cave. You can be the cave, which I don't know why. I love that so much.
Dropping rocks.
Yeah, you're trying to like just annihilate everyone inside your cave.
Yeah.
And I love all of the different. The only thing is this one's a bear to teach because you have to teach all these different because everyone's got a completely different game. Yeah, Hunter's like, I'm not teaching that.
Because you literally have to go, okay, this is how you play.
Yeah.
You spend 5-10 minutes teaching them. Then you move on to the next person.
Yeah.
This is how you play the game.
Yeah.
And you go to the next person. It just takes.
Yeah.
It's one of the longest teaches I've ever had in a game. I mean, I would rather teach through the ages than teach fast.
Ooh.
Because, I mean, with the super experienced gamers and people that are good at learning rules, you just hand out their cards.
That's true.
Like, read your card and let me know if you have any questions. But
when you're teaching,
when
all
you're
new
teaching
group
a game, it's usually
hard.
you just have to go around and teach everyone how to play. And,
so everybody knows how they interact. That's true.
This is a really good one. I didn't
I don't know why. I really enjoyed playing this game, and I was like, the cave just cracked me up so much. I
have
just
like a
enjoyed
paladin
playing
or a knight or something,
Yeah.
and a dragon, and then like a rogue, and then the
cave, and everybody's got different goals, and I loved that the cave was like to cave in on people, and the dragon's like to blow up the knight or whoever's there and like set fire to everything, and the rogue's like steal all the treasure and just all this fun stuff, and I just love that everybody has completely different goals. It's just super fun. I like that.
It's a good one. We played this one I think at Dallas Games Marathon.
Yeah.
She wandered off and played some games with other people, and I spent like an hour learning how to play this game, and then I taught everyone how to play it.
You're such a hard worker. I'm so proud of you.
I know. But it's a good one.
Devoted.
I think now I may completely be off here, but I think this is like the precursor to Root, or am I crazy? Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. I think it was.
That makes sense. That makes sense, though. I can see that.
I may be making.
If not, you're making up something that makes sense. Though. I'm just saying.
All right.
Starting rumors.
Let's move on. Number six. All right, what is my number 6?
I don't know. What is it? What is it?
It is Star Wars Rebellion.
I so knew you were going to put
As
this on
we
here.
talked earlier, and what was your game that had asymmetrical stuff? Raptor.
Vast? Oh, and Raptor. Okay.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Ah.
Star Wars Rebellion's one of those asymmetrical games. The Empire has a certain way to win. They have to find the Rebel base and annihilate it or wipe out all the troops and land on it. And the rebels are just trying to stay hidden as long as possible, achieving objectives, getting reputation. They have a track. There's a time track, so every round it moves closer, and every time they earn points, they get closer. And if they ever meet, then the rebellion wins. Basically, theirs is just survive for the most part.
Yeah, it really
not
is.
get caught, not be found, and survive. Yeah. So it's completely two different objectives, playing the game differently, but at the core of the game, they're still doing missions, you're still recruiting people, you're still kind of playing the games in a similar way, but your goals are completely different. So this asymmetrical thing could have easily dominated my list. I could have filled my entire list with asymmetrical games. I just kind of picked the heavy hitters and put them on my list. But yeah, that's probably one of my favorite. Is it a mechanism? I don't know if it is or not.
Yeah, I think so. It's a feature for sure.
Is that you're playing one way and I'm playing completely different. That's why I like. I didn't even think about it to put it on the list. I just now thought of it. It would have made my list. The Merchant's Cove.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
Merchant's Cove.
But
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Everyone is trying to get points, so it's really not. Everyone's got the same goal and scores the same way. So it's not really interesting when it's interesting play conditions, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, went off on a tangent there, but this is one of the biggest, most popular asymmetrical games.
Oh yeah, so good. So, really smooth game.
All right.
Good choice.
Move on to your number 6.
My number 6 is Camel Up.
Camel Cup.
Camel Cup.
That argument is done and over.
I know, and I said Camel Up, and then I realized I was like, I always do that, and I even typed it correctly.
And even in the new reprint, they made it very clear
that it's Cup. I always do that though, just out of habit. I'm like, oh dang, which one is it? But I typed it correctly.
For the first few months, it was Camel Up.
Yeah. Oh, you know it was. They did that just for the controversy, I swear. Yeah. But the game itself is a racing game. So, but it's not just a straightforward racing game because this is random. You've got this cool gimmicky pyramid thing that you shake upside down and it spits out the dice that it rolls, and the dice are color coordinated to different camels. And you're not just one camel, you're betting on which camel you think is going to win. And there's all sorts of things that you can do to kind of throw off the racing results that are already random by putting little +1 or -1 spaces on the board, and you can bet on the race as a whole, and you can also bet on that leg of the race, so each round that you roll the dice. So there's all this stuff, so you could possibly be winning when the camel you chose went across the finish line for that round, but because a bunch of people beat you to like choosing that one to bet on, they're going to get more victory points than you, or money, whatever, same diff in that race. And it's just one of those things where you're not really sure. You could be kind of sure, but the more players you are, the less sure you're probably going to be of how probable your win is going to be in that race. It's a lot of fun, and I like that one because it does make the win condition very interesting. It's on your mind from the get-go, right?
This one reminds me, like I just said about Merchant's Cove. It's not, you're all going for the same goal,
but
you're going for it in completely different ways, right?
Yeah, because you have different bits of information or whatever,
Right.
and your different guesswork. So
there you
super
go.
Fun. Super fun.
All right, let's move on. Number 5.
Number 5.
Number 5. What is my number 5? Let's find out. It is Oracle of Delphi.
I knew you were going to
talk about a racing game. Oh, we froze. What do we have? What time is it?
Crud.
What time is it?
Oh, crud.
I don't know what time we started. You're
8:32.
supposed to be jumping up and resetting.
Oh, my bad. Okay, hold up.
I don't have the time. Where's the time?
I'm sure the chat's been eyeing it because they were already setting bets.
We started late.
They placed bets.
I'm going to call it 23 minutes. Calling it 23 minutes.
Somebody had 22. Was it Xeris? I want to say it was Xeris.
22:10.
Oh my gosh. Oh, we almost froze. Are you there? We on yet?
Yeah, we're on.
Okay, I'm saying Gardner jinxed us.
I don't know who won that. 22 is 22.
I'm thinking it was. I think it was Xeris. I think it was Xeris said 22.
I can't see the time, exact time.
Nick had 21. Oh snap! You guys were all over it. Hawk School said 22:10 as well. That's funny.
All right, let's back it up.
Good job.
Oracle Delphi, you had Camel Up.
Yep, I had Camel Up. Oh, you butt.
You had Camel Cup racing game. I have Oracle Delphi, another racing game. But mine, we have the same goal in mind. You have to complete 12 tasks and then rush back to the center where you started. You're on a little boat driving around doing islands and collecting statues and resources and searching and exploring and fighting monsters and all sorts of
It's so cool, yeah.
And it's just a straight up racing game, but there's no score, there's no points, there's no it's just whoever finishes those 12 tasks get back to the start point first wins. So it's a straight up it's kind of a racing game, but it's not like you can tell who's in the lead for the most part. I could have completed more tasks. I could be ahead and doing tasks than you, but I could have done easier ones, right? And you've done harder ones. And so I've completed 6, but she's only completed 4, but my remaining ones are going to be much harder to do than the one she has left. So it's kind of, and it's a flurry at the end. It seems like we are always within a task of each other, and we try to complete. You're trying to efficiently do as many tasks.
That's what I was just thinking. You become such an efficiency expert.
It's like, I got to complete 3 tasks this round, or I'm going to lose. How do I get 3 tasks done?
So good.
So it's a straight. If you take a step back and look at it, it's a racing game.
Yeah.
And you could. This is, I think, my only entry for racing. But you could put Lewis and Clark. You could put Downforce. You could put just a whole slew of racing games could make this list because they all kind of go about it a little differently, unless it's a straight up race game like Formula D or something like that. Whoever crosses the finish line first wins.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. But see, like even Downforce is not.
Right, because you're betting. You can bet on other people. You can bet on yourself. It's whoever makes the most money at the end of the game that actually wins. Usually, if you finish first and bet on yourself, you usually win the game, but not always.
Not always.
But I loved Oracle Delphi. It's a great game. I love the fact that there's no points.
Well, it's so different from Feld's usual stuff.
Yeah, it's all
it's usually he's all about the points, and this game is like no points. You just have objectives to race. That's so good. That's right. So there you are.
All right.
That's a goodie.
Let's move on to your number 5.
My number 5, Clank. Any of the Clanks, really. I mean,
Yeah.
Clank in space, any one of those. But this game,
This is your escape plan.
it is. It's my escape plan.
Right.
And it's another one of those that could be your nemesis because this is the whole press
I'm
your luck
horrible
thing.
at this game. I am
You
so
either win
bad
so
at this
big
game.
or you just die
I
horribly.
am so bad at this game.
Typically,
I
run out at the top giggling, and you're at the bottom like, I can get the really expensive
I
most
always
points.
try to get that biggest
and then you die.
treasure and grab as much
And I make the dragon mag
extras,
on my
and
way out.
I
It's
just
greatness.
Like,
Oh, it's so much fun.
Always. Clank in space on the same way. It's like, I want to get the 25-point artifact.
And I'm like, I'm getting the cheap one, and I'm out
Yeah.
and get some stuff
And
along
I'm just
the way.
scrambling to get enough
It's so
movement
funny.
points to get
But
out of the game.
If you get out, you win
oh, yeah,
every time
yeah.
because
if I make it out, it's all over.
always
it's done.
does, but it's just
And a lot of times,
oh
if
my
I
gosh.
make it to the surface, a lot of times I can win. Even if I don't get the bonus for getting out, if I can make it to the safe zone, I can still win.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
So it's hilarious. It's such a guess whether or not you're gonna win that game. It's a lot of fun, and it's just funny. We get into the role with that game too,
Right.
and it's just like, oopsies, I tripped, and
Right.
I'm carrying
Oh
pots
yeah,
and
I
pans.
always get the big footprint that causes lots of clank, so that I can get.
does, but he
it's
gets all the
it's like, I get
stuff
3
done.
footprints. I don't care how many clank I get. That's gonna get me to the bottom and get the good treasure and get me out.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, I usually get eaten by the dragon almost every time.
He
But
does. It's great.
It's just like
so
that's how I
funny.
play pressure luck games. I always see how far I can press my luck and still win.
Yep.
So I either win or I lose horribly.
Yeah.
Like horribly.
Yep.
That's a good one.
There
That's your escape plan version.
My escape plan.
Yep. All right, let's move on. What are we moving on? 4s? We're on 4s, right?
Number 4.
4. See what number 4 is. Number 4 is antiquity. I don't know if you remember this.
I just remember all the dead bodies in this game.
So this one is, I believe it's most points at the end. No, it's not most points. So antiquity, let me take a step back.
Yeah, oh, do
Let me
tell.
describe
This is a good
properly.
one.
So
This is good.
way antiquity works is, so this is a civ building, city building, however you want to look at it. You're texture seeing buildings into your little tableau, but you also have a map that you're building out and stuff like that. At some point in the game, you're going to build a cathedral. You have to build a cathedral at some point in the game. When you build a cathedral, you have a selection of ways to win the game. You can win the game by building all the buildings or doing this or that and this. There's like a selection.
But you have to pick it, don't you?
You have to pick it. So basically,
it's so hard.
whoever builds their cathedral first has selection of all the different win conditions. They take one. This is my win condition. I win this way. Next person who builds a cathedral has the remaining ones to pick from, and so forth and so on. And if you're playing a full player count, whoever builds their cathedral last gets the chump charity, whatever the leftover garbage that's sitting there. So it's very interesting. I don't know why more games don't do that.
That is interesting.
Where you can pick how you want to win.
That's a
lot of games
thing.
give you a selection of ways to win. Well, you can win if you do X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, but this one you pick one.
But
and you're
like
committed.
I want to win by doing X.
You're committed to it.
And I'm the only one that can win by doing X. And
you also have to do that.
Yeah, you don't have a choice. I think there's a way to destroy your cathedral.
But it was really hard.
You can destroy it and rebuild.
And you're already struggling to survive.
Right. So you can destroy your cathedral and rebuild, but then you only get a selection of what's left.
Yeah.
Because other people have been potentially taking some of those choices as you go.
Yeah.
I don't know why more Euro games do not do that.
I really hope people do pick up on that because
you could
really
do that
cool.
in any game. In Trajan, you can say, I win by doing the map stuff. Or I win by doing Senate stuff. Or I win. I mean, you can put that in almost any Euro game that has point salad. You can say, well, my piece of the salad, I only get points for the lettuce, but she gets points for tomatoes. So I don't know why more games don't pick up on that.
That's a really
because
good point.
it at some point gives you a focus. It's like, instead of just going for all these random points, I get points this way or I win this way. I couldn't off the top of my head think of any other game that you pick how you win the game. And again, only you can win that way, not that it's a list of choices. But anyway, we need to play Antiquity again.
We do.
We feel like getting beat up.
That game is brutal. We should play it live so people can understand our
frustration and pain.
Pain and agony that is that game.
Right, what's your number
Love
4?
to hate it, hate to love it, something like that. My number 4 will come as no surprise to people that know what a fan I am of this game, and that is Deception, Murder in Hong Kong.
Nope, that's my number 4. How about this number 4?
Yeah, that works too. So Deception, Murder in Hong Kong, it's not just about discovering who the bad guy is in this game, because there's a twist in this one. And in the game, there's multiple roles. Okay, so you have the murderer, and you have the accomplice, and you have a witness. And there's a couple different things. So the detectives can win the game by figuring out the whodunit and like who did it and what they used. They have to find the exact match of the item left at the scene of the crime and the murder weapon. They have to find those exact things to get them. But there's also that the murderer can win if they don't get caught. Okay, so there's that. But there's also this little tweak when you're playing with the witness. If the murderers get caught, but they get one shot, they get to guess who they think the witness was, because the witness tries to lead people in the right direction towards the murderer.
Or not.
If they're a terrible witness, yes. Yeah, you don't want to be obvious about it, because if you're obvious about it, they get a chance to say, hey, I think you're the witness. So basically, they go and kill the witness. Then they get away with the crime because there are no witnesses. So then they do actually win the game.
Right.
I love that. That's great, and it brings just the conversations and just the excitement of that part of the game. Just makes it so much fun. The end condition for that is fantastic. Because just when you think you've got it, and they're like, "It was you," and then you flip their card, and they were the witness, and they got away with it. It's it's beautiful.
If you've ever played Resistance, the Avalon version of Resistance adds that mechanism in it. It adds roles.
That's right.
It adds that mechanism of I guess if you guess who Merlin is, or I don't know who the seer or whoever it is. I only played Avalon one time. I mostly played the Resistance. It has that same mechanism of the bad guys can go, you are the one who knew who it was, and if they're right, then they win. Same sort of thing.
Yep.
That's a good one. You again, social deduction games. You could put
all
the social deduction games pretty much could go on this list.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I picked this one because it's not as straightforward as some of the others. Because sometimes, like, brain just went. But usually, if you pick the bad guy, they're outed, and it's kind of over.
Like Spyfall.
Spyfall, yeah. So you could pick that person and they're out. There's no way for them to escape the fact that they've been called out.
Well, if they figure out.
Well, if they have, they spit out the guess
where the location you're at before they get
caught. But it's beforehand, right? I feel like that when you're over. But this one has that twist where even though you just got busted, it should be over, but got rid of that witness.
It's a good one. Good one. Made my short list, but it's not on my list.
It's good
Spoilers.
Number 3.
My number 3 was already mentioned. No, it's not.
What?
Hasn't been
Ooh,
mentioned.
mysterious.
Hasn't been mentioned. I just messed it with you. We talked about Star Wars Rebellion. This is the Lord of the Rings version of Star Wars Rebellion.
Oh, of course.
War of the Rings.
Of course.
It's another one of the asymmetrical. Like I said, I can make
asymmetrical
my
game.
entire list could be asymmetrical games, and it probably would be if I really was being honest about my favorites. But I gotta have a little diversity in my list. So, but War of the Ring, my favorite game of all time.
Right.
Maybe.
Ooh.
We're doing top 100 soon. Well, not soon for me, soon for her. I got pushed back to January. You're next. War of the Ring. Again, very asymmetrical. The shadow forces, they want to. Well, both sides can win by points by controlling areas on the board. But both sides can win by points. That's usually not how they win for the most part. They win by the Shadow Army by corrupting the Ring Bearer and having him basically get corrupted and come to the dark side. Then the good side, the Fellowship, the free people.
The free people.
The free people win by getting the ring to Mount Doom and throwing it in before the Ring Bearer gets corrupted.
Yep.
So very, very different goals with a backdrop of the potential, if you're not paying attention, of gaining points by winning games. Because strongholds and fortresses and cities like that, they give you a certain number of points. If the bad guys get a certain number of points, they win. If the good guys get a certain number of points, they win. So, really,
that is interesting.
Really great game. You have to keep your eye on that because if you're not paying attention, you're focusing in on that ring aspect of the game, you'll look up and you're losing all your fortresses and strongholds, and before you know it, you lose.
Yes.
Can't completely focus in on that asymmetrical win condition.
Yes.
There you go.
That's a good one. That is like the asymmetrical game right there.
All right, what's your number 3?
My number 3 actually was just mentioned in the chat, and
Was it?
that is Space Base.
Space
This was one of the first ones that we talked about, and in particular because, sure, you get the most victory points, you win, but there's another twist. If you get this particular card and you fulfill the difficult conditions for it,
Yeah, you got to charge it.
You have to charge it up twice or 3 times.
It depends on the number of players.
Yeah, that's right. So there's a lot of stuff going on with it, but it takes a lot of work to get it and everything. Get it all charged up, fired off. It's an insta-win.
Right.
People will not help you with that, of course, and it's difficult to pull off.
Yeah.
But I believe, didn't you do it?
I did it one time.
You've done it once, yeah. You can do it.
You have to, not only you have to get the card in place to get it charged, basically you have to roll 12. You have to roll double sixes.
Which is crazy hard.
To get a charge on it. But you can, in the game, you can build cards that say, if I roll 11, it also counts as a 12.
Yeah.
And then you build a 10, that also counts as 11, which also counts as 12. And you build a 9, and eventually you can get it far enough along that if you get a 9, 10, 11, or 12, it charges it. And it's just a whole, you basically throw your game out the window, and your whole process is building towards that card.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Kill a Shogun card in Edo. You kind of have to forego the rest of the game to work on that.
I feel like this one's more achievable than the Yida one, though.
I think so too.
Because there's a lot more options in the game to, like you said, to set up those cards to make it go off like you want. But yeah, it takes a little bit of work and some luck, because as soon as you see somebody gets that card, you're like, oh no, I'm cranking up my engine. Let's go for the victory points. You go crazy.
And you also could start taking those cards that have the little arrows that, hey, this
steal
the
them,
one next
snipe
door.
them. That's right, take them from you. Yeah,
it's a good one. That's this is literally the first one we thought of.
Yeah.
When we talked about the list.
It's a goodie. It's a goodie.
Good one.
Number 2.
Here we go with more asymmetrical win conditions, because I actually glanced at my list. My number 2 is Dune. The Dune.
Oh, of course.
Dune and or Rex. So in Dune and Rex both, you have to control a certain number of strongholds or fortresses. I don't forget what they call them. I think they both call them something different. To win the game, I believe it's 3. I think you have to control 3 fortresses throughout the map to win the game. If you're in an alliance, then with 2 people it's 4, 3 people it's 5. There's different. It increases the number the more bigger the alliance. But 3 of the factions, so Atreides and the Harkonnen and the Emperor win. They only win. The only way they can win is by getting those strongholds. Then there's 3 other factions. And I'm doing the Dune version, not the Rex. I don't know any of the Rex factions. The 3 other factions can win the same way, but they also have an alternate win condition that they win. So the Bene Gesserit, at the very start of the game, they guess who they think is going to win and what round they're going to win on. So they're going to think, I think the Harkonnen is going to win in round 7. So then they can manipulate the game
so that happens.
That the Harkonnen win in round 7. And then if the Harkonnen do that, you reveal your card and reveal your choice and go, nope, I win instead. So that's how the Bene Gesserit win in Dune. Then that's wild. Fremen, if the game ends, the game is normally 10 rounds long. At the end of 10 rounds, if no one has won by that point, the Fremen win if they control a certain area. They're like their home area. There's certain areas, if they control those areas or their alliance controls those areas, they win the game as well. Then finally, the Spacing Guild, they win if the game goes the full 10 rounds and no one wins. They win.
Ouch.
So
you got to cause all sorts of shenanigans.
You just want to keep.
Right?
They want balance. They want the spice must flow. They want all the factions to be doing well. They don't want anyone to be dominating the game. So they can kind of help different people who are behind, and they kind of manipulate the game to get to the end. Then they don't want the Fremen to have the places they need to win. So it's very, very asymmetrical game for the most part. Again, this is kind of like what game did I say? The
Rex?
No.
Lord of the Ring?
What was I? The one that had everyone scores points, but you have other alternate win conditions. Oh, my brain.
Antiquity?
My brain. War of the Ring. So War of the Ring, you can still win with points, but you still have your asymmetrical things. Dune's the same way. Everyone can win by taking over strongholds, but those 3 factions have alternate ways to win.
Yeah.
And I love playing the Bene Gesserit. I've never had them. I actually got the right person wrong one round off one time with the Bene Gesserit. I just love the idea of even if I'm not playing the Bene Gesserit, there's always if I'm about to win, it's like, did they guess I was going to win right now? Should I wait another round and not win?
Oh my gosh, the meta mind game thing.
You're really helping me to win this round. Why do you really want me to win?
Ouch,
Should I wait one more round to win?
That's
so I love this game. Rex has the same thing. They just have the kitty cats and the brain people and all the different other factions.
Yeah.
In the Twilight Imperium universe.
Oh my gosh.
But Rex, I'll just mention briefly, they have even another level of win conditions at the end. You have the betrayal cards.
I forgot about the betrayal card.
So basically, if you're in an alliance, if you play a betrayal card, then you betray your alliance, and you could potentially win solo instead of as a group. And
I can tell your group would just love you.
Oh gosh, there is so much hate. The betrayal cards at the end for Rex. They're not in Dune. That's an addition that Rex put in.
Yes, of course.
There you go. That's my number 2. I talked a long time about it.
That one's got an interesting, like you said, very interesting win factor in that.
Is that my number 2?
That was your number 2.
All right.
Or it better be your number 2 because I'm about to tell you about my number 2.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Crown of Amara. This one is not the straightforward, you get the most points, you win. But we have these different tracks, and you have like the properties. What is it? The properties you own, or like the most housing and money, right?
Money, yeah. I think.
And so you have a wind track, and they're kind of coming in from different directions. So you have
they're
oh no, that's right.
They're parallel.
They start in different spots.
They start in different spots. Yes.
And one of them you can build up a lot faster than the other.
Right.
Well, if you play that way,
for the most points, you get points easier than housing.
Most of the time, yeah. Unless you play very differently.
For the most part.
Yeah. So what happens though is you trigger the end of the game once they intersect. So that's what's interesting about that.
You're thinking of Rajas.
Oh, Rajas is when it ends.
It's just at the end of the game, whichever one's your lowest score is your score.
Your lower score, and that's right in Crown of Amara. So you want to get them both though really high up. Because your lowest one is the one that wins, and it could be either one, and it just depends on how you're playing the game, what you're going for. It's so good.
And then at the end, you're really scrambling to catch up your lower points. You're basically get those kind of in-game points you can kind of earn at the end, and so you're like, oh, I really need to push my housing up. And
it's also things like the crowns are worth so many victory points.
Right.
If you're behind on that, you want to make sure you've kind of kept up with your crowns.
Right.
And I just love the fact that again you've got the gameplay is very different anyway because you've got those 2 different boards that you're doing worker placement actions on, and you've got your resources and stuff and houses, and then you've got the mad victory points getting your money and stuff over here. So you really want to keep track of that balance, like you said, and make sure that your tracks are keeping up together. It's so much fun. It's just nice and different. I'm hoping that we have more games like that because you mentioned Raja the Ganges.
I'm surprised that wasn't on your list. Well, maybe it will be. But yeah, that one's on my short list. That one has
you just have the
what
intersecting
you're thinking of.
tracks.
There's 2 tracks.
There's the opposite directions on that one.
When you meet, I think it's fame and money or something like that. When they meet, that triggers the end of the game, and whoever crosses the furthest is the actual winner of the game.
It's so cool. I like both of those ideas of how to use the tracks differently because usually it's just whoever's the highest on the track. Blah blah blah. You get the most victory points.
I think Heaven and Ale has the same mechanism as
okay.
Crown of Amara.
Okay.
Is,
so there's like
score.
what 3 out there? There's not very many.
Well, there's several games that have the lowest score is your score. There's lots of games. Reiner Knizia has several games that are that way. Your lowest, whatever you're worst at, is your actual score. Yeah.
So you want to keep track of all that stuff. I love it. I think it's interesting.
All right, let's move on to my number 1. This is number 1 by far because I just love the win conditions in my number 1.
Okay. Now I'm intrigued. Which one did you pick?
Well, we got to do this first.
Number 1.
My number 1 is Lords of Hellas.
Oh, yes, of course. I didn't realize you hadn't mentioned that. Yeah.
As I mentioned several times, and mainly when I was talking about antiquity, there's lots of games that have, these are the ways you can win. Lords of Hellas has that. There's 4 distinct different ways to win the game. And you can choose whichever one you want, and whoever does one of those first immediately wins the game. And so there's four different win conditions, and you're trying to go for them. I wrote them down because I always get them confused, so I actually wrote them down. So the first one is it's a dudes on the map area control game for the most part. You got troops going around, taking over areas, conquering things and stuff like that. So the first one is area control. You control 2 lands. So the board is divided up in different areas that are different colors. So you have different shades of colors. One set of colors is a land, and it has a certain number of regions. So if you control 2 lands in the game, however many there is based on the number of players. 2 players, there's only 3 lands, I think, or something like that. And then as you add more players, there's more lands added. Control 2 lands, you win the game. Done. Secondly, you have to control 5 temples. So there's temples scattered throughout the board. They're all over the place.
Easier said than done.
And if if you're at any point you control the five of the temples that are scattered throughout the board, you win the game. The third one, which I think is one of the most asymmetrical parts of the game, is kill 3 monsters.
Yeah.
So these big giant hulking monsters are roaming around the board attacking everybody. You defeat 3 of those, you win the game.
Woo-woo.
And then lastly, there's these monuments. So basically you have these monuments, if you've ever seen Lords of Hellas, they have these detachable monuments. So you start with a little base,
They're so
and then
cool
you add pieces and you build up this big giant statue looking thing. When one of those is completed, it kind of starts an in-game timer. So when one is completed, there's going to be 3 more rounds in the game, and the game ends. Whoever has control of that monument at the end of those 3 rounds wins the game. So then, if you get this far, if no one else has won any of the other ways, it's a scramble. It's like an all-out war to control that monument, because whoever's going to win that is going to win the game. Alternately, you could scramble and try to achieve one of the other victory conditions during those last 3 rounds. Love Lords of Hellas. I love the hack that you can win completely different. I think the last time I played, it's like, I'm going to kill monsters. So I'm built up my dude. I'm going to make him super powerful. He's going to go out and he's just going to quest and defeat monsters. And that's what I'm going to do. And you can do that. But at the same time, you have to guard against the other players trying to win in the other ways, right? You can't just go, I'm going to forget the whole game and I'm just going to go out and fight monsters. Well, Rebecca's over here controlling lands. If I'm not defending those, then she's gonna win that way, right?
I'm gonna
Great
try.
game. I love how that is different ways. Like, I wish more games had that kind of shopping list of different ways to win. And even better, and I don't know if it would work well, but if you could quote draft or earn one of these different win conditions, and only I can win by doing monsters or whatever.
That would be interesting.
Like Antiquity. I really wish more games would use the Antiquity.
That would be really interesting.
That's it.
Yep, almost. I have mine.
For me.
Oh, okay.
And I know what your number 1 is.
Of course you do. I like that Paul says, though, you've got your myth in my sci-fi. No, you've got your sci-fi in my myth. That's exactly what Lords of Hellas is, because it's like the super sci-fi version of these classical deities, and it is so cool because they have like, cyber arms and stuff like that. I love the way it turned out.
It's the myth that, and actually, in fact, their new game that's from this company, I believe it's from this company. I could be wrong. It's that myth of there's aliens that come from other worlds with their super technology, and they're so powerful they're viewed as gods, right? Because they have lasers and all sorts of spaceships and all sorts of stuff. It's like they worship them because they're so powerful.
Yeah.
I think Origins. There's a game called Origins that's coming out. I think it may be from this company. It's from the designer of Lords of Hellas.
Okay.
It's the same kind of theme. Is that all these empires like the Aztecs and the Egyptians got their technology, and they did all these amazing things because aliens influenced their civilization.
Yes, I'm on for it. Yes.
So in Origins, you're an alien species that's influencing the Egyptians to become the most powerful civilization.
It's like that. I just blanked on the name of the movie.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I love that movie. I'll think of it.
But anyway, the designer of Lords of Hellas is coming out with a new game. I think it's coming out at Gen Con, like anytime now, called Origins. Origins has got a subtitle. Origins.
Star Trek did episodes like that too. There's all sorts of.
Something.
I love that
anyway,
sci-fi. I love that twist. It's fun.
And not only are you trying to have the best civilization, from my understanding, I don't know a lot about the game. I pre-ordered it. There's kind of an arms race between the 2 factions. So we're not only competing to make the best civilization, there's direct competition between us that's going on as well. So
Isn't that the definition of an addict right there? You're like, I don't know anything about this game, but
I
went,
watched
boop.
reviews. And I love this designer. I mean, Lords of Hellas is one of my favorite games, so I'm excited about it. And it's it's more Euro-y. It's a Euro-y, more Euro-y game than Lords of Hellas.
Good time.
You can't get more not Euro-y than Lords of Hellas, so. You're just killing each other.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, it's true. All right, my number one has been mentioned before. Oh my gosh, you spoiled it. Everyone's so surprised now. Yes, of course, Lord of the Ring. I was thinking of like, as soon as we mentioned the whole asymmetrical thing, I was like, this is like the ultimate one of those because the win conditions are so completely different. You already mentioned all of this stuff, but I mean, the Free Peoples have they have two kinds of ways to win, really. I mean, they've got the throw the ring in. You can do a military victory, but it's really hard.
I've done it one time.
Yes,
one time I did a military victory.
Yes.
Friggin', what's his name? Gimli stormed. Gimli stormed into the mines of Moria, killed the Balrog, and won with a military victory.
That was the stupidest game ever. I should have flipped the table. But yes, we have some stories to tell about that. But then, again, the enemy has, of course, the kill everything or find the ring, corrupt. So there's they have two things, basically, total corruption and military victory. So it's interesting to see how that always plays out. And it's got these memorable stories behind it. So I also noticed one I had not thought of, but Nathan mentioned. Yeah, I think so. Okay. Nathan was mentioning Outer Rim, and I forgot about that because you're just going around doing.
It's a race to points.
But it's another race to points, but you get to do it's kind of like whatever, as long as you get those points. It's how you get them. It's kind of up to you.
If you include all racing games, then I would include that. I mean,
yeah.
Twilight Imperium's the same way. It's a race to points.
True,
how
that's
you do
true.
it is differently.
Yeah, you can.
But the win condition's pretty standard, though. You're just trying to get the most points, a certain number of points.
That's kind of at the heart of the racing stuff.
Yep.
And I think a lot of you talked about a lot of other games that we were thinking about. Like I had on the short list and stuff too. You had some really good ones in there. So, were there any that you particularly wanted to mention?
Here's my short list of ones that I wanted to mention.
Okay.
I made a list of ones that just made my list. That just missed my list. I
can see that.
QE and High Society both have an elimination. QE eliminates whoever spends the most money. It's a kind of a start purchase game. Whoever spends the most money loses. They're immediately eliminated, and then whoever has the highest points after that wins. Same way, High Society. If you whoever has the least money left over, I think it's least money left over. I can't remember. Either the most money left over or least money left over. They're immediately eliminated from the game, so they can't win as well. You mentioned Space Base already. Another one that we talked about, Stratego. Stratego is like the classic interesting win condition of
totally.
That you're trying to go and find the other person's flag. That's the normal way to win.
That'd be the earliest.
But if you get the little spy guy or little number 9,
number 9 I think is the spy.
Yeah, scout or spy. If you can get him to attack and hit the other person's most powerful piece, the marshal.
Yep.
They immediately win the game.
Yep.
So that's like one of the first ones I know of that have insta wins.
It's got to be the earliest one like that. Yeah.
Then I did Fury of Dracula, and you can put any hidden movement game could be included in this list. But one that a lot of people don't think of and don't really maybe even not even know about it, but Raccoon Tycoon.
Yeah.
If you get $1,000, you instantly win the game.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Because it's almost impossible to achieve.
That's true.
But if you get $1,000 in Raccoon Tycoon, you instantly win the game.
I bet Jason.
So you can completely just forego everything else and just manipulate the market.
Money.
Basically, you resources. You buy low, sell high those resources, and you just churn out the money. You recruit buildings that give you cash and things like that.
If people aren't paying attention to that, you could sneak that in really.
Don't buy any of the railroads. Don't buy any spend any resources on anything else. Just buy low, sell high, and you basically you're a day trader in Raccoon Tycoon. And if you get $1,000, you immediately win the game. And I believe money is hidden information in Raccoon Tycoon, so they wouldn't even know that you're. They would probably get a clue after
a clue.
If you're halfway through the game and you don't own any railroads, I mean, because you can't spend. I wouldn't think you could spend money on nothing except for stuff that makes you money. So, buying railroads and towns and things that give you victory points are right out.
That game is just too much fun anyway.
You have to say at the start, I'm going for the 1,000-point win. So.
Right, and that's the thing. the more I think about it, I really like the way board games have gone, especially the last few years, because the interesting win conditions have really exploded because it's less of the roll and move. Oh, you got to this point, hooray, you won.
Right.
It's not that anymore. It's about surprises and
There's a lot of point games out
asymmetrical
there,
stuff.
though.
Oh yeah, well of course.
Yeah.
I mean, just about every Euro on the planet, the whole thing is victory points.
Right.
At its heart, there's a lot of victory points.
Right.
But I like the twists that they're coming up with on this.
Yep.
And it just seems like once you start to think about it, it's like, wow, there's a lot of games out there that have a lot of different unique things to tweak the ending. You know what I just thought about too? Fog of Love.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Because Fog of Love...
my goals are completely different than your goals,
Yeah,
right?
because, I mean, it's not about victory points in that. It's about matching up your traits. And you also have those relationship goals that may not be the same.
Right, mine might be break up. Yours might be to stay together, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so that's completely a twist, and it's kind of a toss-up. And you never know. Sometimes we have certain things that have happened where it causes you to get rid of your end condition that you were going for. Or you get a new trait that you have to go after. I mean, it's just...
This is a good one. This is this. I forgot who suggested this. I don't remember if it was Corlew or someone else that suggested the win condition. This is a good one. We got two. If you don't know, we occasionally put up a poll on our Board Game Geek Guild. So if you want to get involved in that, go out to the Board Game Geek. There's a link down below to go to that. And we voted, and the next two are already decided that we're going to do. It's games that we like to fiddle with the components.
Games we like to fiddle with the components. Okay, games
like mess around with the bits and
with
stuff while we're playing.
Components. Okay.
And I can't remember
I like that.
the other
That's going
one.
to be a fun one.
The other one.
Games with fun components. I like that. Yes, and please, hey Kabuki, please go in there and vote, because some of you trolls, and you know who you are, new troll and other people, are picking some really mean. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, new troll was upset because I didn't put any of theirs on the poll this time.
You guys sometimes you vote something, and I'm like.
But anyway, I don't recall. There's two that tied for second place on the poll.
Oh, I'm excited.
Those are going to be our next two top 10s.
That's going to be fun.
All right, let's get a couple housekeeping things out of the way.
Yes.
1 week from tonight, shenanigans.
Yes.
We haven't played many games, so there's going to be a lot of
we need some shenanigans.
Alternate shenanigans going on.
It's about time. We need some of that.
And then 1 week from that, obviously, it's that one of the two top 10s that got second place on our poll. Nextly, we have merchandise. We have Family Showdown stuff. We're not doing this for us. Well, we
are. Well, there's 3 reasons. Okay.
Three reasons.
Three reasons. You ready for this?
Yes.
Help a small business out. Buy T-shirts.
Yes. Geeky Goodies.
Support charity. All the profits go to...
All our profits.
All our profits, I should say, yes, go to the Jack Vassal Memorial Fund. And C, join the Cool Kids Club, because wouldn't it be fun? Maybe this is a nerdy dream of mine. I think it would be hilarious and awesome if we all were like twinsies at a con sometime, because that would just be amazing. Please, yes. And we can even, bring your mugs. I don't care. Bring a mug, bring your T-shirt. I think it'd be amazing. Yes.
3 reasons. There
3
you go.
reasons right there.
That's it.
There you go.
And that's it. I guess we're out of here.
Woohoo! You guys are awesome. And once again, I say this a lot, but I can't say it enough. If you are able to watch the chat is awesome. We have the best chat community ever. And you guys often put in your top 10s or top 5s or whatever of the games that you like. Right. And they mentioned some in there that we did not talk about. And there's a lot of cool games out there to try. So
yeah, definitely turn the chat on and watch the chat, because there's several
Y'all
of our little family members that
that
do their top 10s along with us. So
very cool.
We love that. It's awesome.
And thanks for coming and meeting up with us
We'll
again.
see you next week. Bye.